So today I was reading a book and sitting at the base of a tree looking out over a broad field, kind of like this one behind me. And I looked down and I saw this thing. Have you ever seen anything like this? So today we are going to explore what this thing is, what's in it, and where it came from. So I'd like you to get out your paper and pencil, and on your paper you are going to make 3 columns. The first column is going to say, I notice, at the top. And when we show more pictures of this, you can write down anything that you're seeing and kind of any other observations you can make. Since you are on a camera, it's going to be mostly your eyes that are making the observations, but maybe you have some other senses, like anything you hear. And in the middle column, you're going to write, I wonder, at the top. And this is your column to write any questions. So like one question that I had when I saw this thing sitting next to me was, what is it? So that could be a good thing to write down. And anything else that you can think of can go there. And this last column is going to say, it reminds me of, at the top. And if this reminds you of anything, that's where you'd write it down. So I am going to show you a close-up picture of this thing right where I found it. And you can pause on that picture. And I would like you to write down some things for each column. I'd like you to write down at least 2 things for each column to start with, but you are welcome to write more if you can think of more. And then once you're done, you can unpause and we will keep exploring. So while you were taking notes, I started kind of taking apart this thing we were looking at. So right here we have kind of the different pieces, and there's even more of the white things in here. And I'm going to give you another close-up look and you can keep adding to your list. So what did you take notes on? What did this remind you of? What were you wondering? What did you notice looking at these? So some things that I noticed are we have this really fluffy gray stuff over here. And we have all of these hard white things over here. Did anyone recognize any of these? Like maybe this one and this one. Yeah, so these are little skulls. And if you look at the front teeth, let's see if I can hold this right. If you look at the front teeth, there is some orange on those. And that tells me that these are rodent skulls. So we had this funny little pellet thing that has rodent skulls and a bunch of fur, and I found it under a dead tree in a field. So, what is this thing? This thing is an owl pellet. So an owl pellet, they sure look like poop, don't they? But they're not. What they are is kind of more like a cat's hairball. So, when an owl is hunting, what they will do is they will sit in something like a dead tree where they can see a whole area and hear a whole area that their prey might live in. And they're going to sit there, and when they see or hear a mouse, they are going to swoop down, and they have these special feathers, and so they can fly super silently, and they're going to catch it off the ground, and they're going to eat it whole. And so they're just going to like swallow the whole mouse. And they can only actually digest parts like the meat and the organs and that kind of thing. They can't get any energy out of the bones or the fur. And so what happens is the bones and the fur go into kind of the specialized second stomach of theirs that I think is called the gizzard. And it gets kind of squished up. And once it's squished up, they are going to then cough it up. So they cough up one of these about once a day, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. And scientists like to look at owl pellets so that they can figure out what these birds are eating. So if you find an owl pellet, you know everything that owl ate in the last day. So let's see. Since we found 2 skulls in this one, that means that this owl ate at least 2 rodents. So the rodents in this area, it's probably either like mice or voles. I could look up what some of the other bones look like to compare, but I don't have a computer with me right now. So this owl ate at least 2 of those in a day, which is pretty cool. So some other questions scientists might ask once they know what the owl ate are things like, did the owl eat only rodents because it prefers rodents over the other things that live there? It's its favorite food, maybe? Or did it eat only rodents because those are the only prey available there? You know, maybe the other things that owls might eat, like tiny birds or insects and that kind of thing, maybe those weren't even there. So those are some things that scientists might look into. Awesome, so thank you for joining me as we explored that really cool owl pellet. If you want to find some of your own, you can look in fields kind of like this one where there's some dead trees for owls to hide in and a big open field for those rodents to live in. You have to look really hard. You don't always find them, but sometimes you can. So I encourage you to go looking. But make sure to wash your hands after. I will also put on the next slide a link if you want to get your own owl pellet online to dissect. And I'm also going to put up some links if you just want to research more about owls and all of the cool things that they do to hunt and what they eat and what they sound like and all of that. It's pretty cool. There are a lot of owl species that live in Idaho, so we are pretty lucky to have all of that nature right outside in our backyard. Thank you so much for exploring this with me. It was so cool to find. I hope you had fun as well. And I'll see you later.